Remember Charles Dyer? Well, the man better known as the July 4th Patriot is free at last. But his legal battles are far from over. The former Marine sergeant was released from an Oklahoma jail just last week. Now, he gained an underground following in militia circles for a series of YouTube videos that criticized the U.S. government. But he became notorious in the mainstream press after being accused of raping a child, charges that his supporters say are false. Now, RT has been on top of the story for quite some time now, and joining me for some more details, Jim Stachowiak of American Resistance Radio. So, Jim, Charles was originally accused of child molestation, and then when the feds raided his home to search for evidence, they actually found an unregistered grenade launcher and then arrested him on possession charges. So at this point, exactly what was he charged with and what was he acquitted of? Because it seems like there are sort of two separate legal battles brewing here.
Well, what's real interesting to point out is that his ex-wife, and the media is not stressing, uncle, who's a registered sex offender, James Sakia, as a registered sex offender, has had access to Dyer's daughter. Medical reports also prove that his daughter, we hate to use the word on the air, is an actual virgin. What we've witnessed that with the first charge, when I'm bringing that up because they said he raped his daughter, okay, here's the thing. Why they demonized him with these sexual charges was to separate his support from him, to demonize him, which is a common tactic of counterintelligence of the U.S. government. They did this in Waco. They did this with the LDS in Texas, and they're doing it with Dyer. And now they've even targeted Schaefer Cox of the Alaska militia, who's actually now being targeted on not sexual charges, but other charges that are bogus, and even myself being set up by an FBI agent that was involved in the Dyer investigation. His name is Gene Poole. That may be his real name or that may be his alias. But there's an FBI agent that wants to violate my constitutional rights, and we got the DHS violating Schaefer Cox in Alaska. The government failed in their attempt to get us to be provoked to commit to that which they say we are, but we are what we say we are, not what they say we are, and that is we are acting peaceably. We're not aggressive. We will not attack. We will defend. The actions on what we did and didn't do in reference to Dyer proves our case.
And I see you there holding your gun quite closely to you. You know, our top story of these past few hours has been the gun rallies here in Washington, D.C. and also Northern Virginia. Are you at all afraid that that the feds or the government might come to your home and clutch that out of your
Actually,
loving arms?
it's an interesting question. The question should be, are they afraid of us clutching them out of power? Because when Dyer, in his last court appearance, they used armored personnel carriers, countless armed personnel, and attack helicopter gunships. They were obviously afraid of a militia or something trying to come and break him out. We are about obeying the law. We will defend the Constitution, and we will exhaust all political means. And this is, again, I just want to say, a great day in America, because this is the anniversary of the 235th anniversary of the first American Revolution, and we are involved now in the second revolution, which is fully underway. It's not going to come. It's already here.
Jim, I want to sort of backtrack to what you said a little bit earlier on, because a lot of patriot and militia groups have sort of come out in defense of Charles Dyer, saying, as you had said, that he was basically set up by the government. But, I mean, what is behind this logic? I mean, why would the government go through all this hassle of a quote-unquote setup to get this one man? Was he such a threat, or what was the perceived threat here?
Well, yes, he was a threat. He was an icon. That joined the resistance about a year and a half ago, and rapidly rose with his love for the Constitution and freedom in non-provocative ways. Dyer is a rallying point for the militia in this country. Even militias that may disagree on various points, 95% of the militia, I'd say almost virtually 100% of the resistance to tyranny in this country, we all stand behind Dyer. He's an example of what we need to be, and we will resist tyranny. And I can rest assured that Dyer will come back stronger than ever. He is a threat because he encourages us that we can't be afraid of our government. It's a government that needs to be afraid of the people, and they have a very good reason, and they should be afraid of the people, because if they continue to push against us and continue with their final and stupid moves, they need to reflect on what happened 235 years ago on this very day. that same thing can happen again, and it's up to them when they're going to push us too far.
Jim, let's talk a little bit about some of the media coverage this case has gotten. Very few news organizations have really sort of covered this story in depth. What do you make of the press attention or lack thereof in this case?
Well, it's really sad, the media cartels of America. I find it really ironic that, and I've gotten a lot of criticism, that I'm even talking to Russia today. And I don't regret it, because it's ironic that
we're really glad
Russia
that you don't regret it.
No, and I don't regret it, and I'll stand behind it, because it's ironic. I would have been on CBS, along with all these other patriots. We would have been on CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox News, but they don't allow people a voice. Why? Because American media is controlled by the CIA. Richard Holbrooke has even stated that, former CIA director. They don't want Americans to peacefully disagree. And look, the Tea Party, they need to be happy that they were out there with signs and not AK-47s a couple months ago when it was 2.5 million, because 2.5 million people with AK-47s and 100 rounds of ammo would have been too much for them to handle. So they need to thank God, the God in heaven, that they're doing it peacefully and not violently, just like Southern Poverty Law Center adding me, Chuck Baldwin. I've been added to the Southern Poverty Law Center list again. Why? Because I called Janet Napolitano a Nazi, well, the female term for a dog.
Jim Stachowiak there for us, getting really fired up. I think maybe the other networks have some kind of volume control, but here on RT you can be as loud as you want, and I think we've proven that today. Jim Stachowiak.
You guys are getting a lot of credibility by people in the resistance and the militia, and I'm not speaking for myself, but speaking on behalf of a lot of American patriots that love freedom. We want to thank RT TV for giving us a voice worldwide against a tyrannical, despotic regime that's ignoring the will of the American people and governing without our consent.
And who doesn't love freedom? Thanks, Jim.
God bless.